adventure of the blossoming attorney. Let's go. Pick up where we left off in the Supreme Court of Judicature. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray? You have a strong sense of responsibility. I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So, I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That I would defend you? Probably? My brain does not cooperate. That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence. That you'd stand by me to the last. Right, that. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. Says you. I mean, really. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets! I'm no better, you know. Oh? Even though in my heart I knew you'd pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato, I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no, no! I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father, that fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, don't cry. Come on. Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Gay. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So, I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be all right. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you've said you saw is true. That came out weird, I'm sorry. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Get our ducks in a row, so to speak. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. Heh? The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Susato, that is your fault! How do you not know what a chemical reagent is? I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though. Just in case. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet. It's this newspaper article. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing. What? It was when the professor and Saseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. So-called English lady swanned in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guest would love to hear about your work on that substance there." Put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Saseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. So then, Saseki-san knew about the poison? Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. There's many memos on. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh? Well, he was skulking about. A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Saseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. And yet, dude was there. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then, presumably, he posted it anonymously to the police. Ah. Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel! We've just heard the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes! And the name cards shall change while I am in the courtroom. Ray has put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. August 13th, 11:30 a.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 1. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Membami. Prosecutor Ouchie, have you summoned the new witness? Before I address that question, Your Excellency... Oh, don't be a prick. I have some very important news to share. Oh? What news? And why does he look so happy about it? During the recess, with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life. Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter. Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course. I had the reagent delivered to police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And counsel, what were the results? I can't believe I read that in Ouchie's, tone. It was because he was doing his little... Ooh, oh, I am so smart. I am a winner. Oh, we've snapped him back to serious. This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it. Armed with the reagent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. Gasp. In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. What if she is not the one who stabbed Giselle, and because of the reaction to being stabbed, she thought there was poison on the knife, so she pulled it out? I am connecting dots that don't need connecting just yet. Act like you're shot. Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness. Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well. Officer, bring in the witness. No trace of poison on the knife. If. Terrible. Because of course there was no trace of poison on the knife. Prove my theory wrong, why don't you? But if that's really the case, why was she stabbed? Probably is the question. How could the toxin have entered the victim's body? Probably a better question. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Write-in mini memo of the Show You News. I'm what people like to call a journo. So you have a pencil behind your ear, you're using a pencil, And you're ink stained. Very obviously. You're a lefty. Which is probably how you got ink stained, but you're using pencils. Heh. Funky. That looks familiar on his armband. Anyway. What's a journo, Father? Do you know? It's short for journalist. Simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there when the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, well, what have we here? I'm sorry? Oh, brace yourselves, people! Many Memo senses a scoop in the offing! Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. Excuse me, what the fuck do you mean curiously handsome? The readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold at 72-point font in a 5-leg format for the morning edition. Huh? Right then, let's start with your name. Oh, Ryotaro Naruhodo? Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? Well, I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while. By the way, my name is Taketsuchi Aochi. That's Taketsuchi Aochi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart. Uh-huh. 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 Totally. Is he sure about this? Is he absolutely sure this is the way he wants to? Yeah, whatever. I'm not here to... We'll go with this. He doesn't care! Beautiful. No, the readers won't buy that. What? Witness? Yes? What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that, now would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you've gotta be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. So that's what I call my many memoism. Many memoism? That's gonna be hard to say more than... Ah yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Saseki-san. Yes, right, that was me. Many memo again. Okay. But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyu News offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Miss Brett's words? Oh, because she talked about the dachshund. A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen? Horse dung! This country's rotten to the core. Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right, here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket? The people need to know about this. Looking up a word. A trip or tour taken by an official at a public expense. Okay, there we go. I've learned. I like learning things. That's why I decided to sneak after them. How do you keep breaking your pencil and getting a fresh new? How many pencils do you have, man? To get the woman's story so I could hammer her in the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journo eyes. From start to finish through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Thank you, Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. I know you stole the poison. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journo spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. Read screens, you say? Right, you can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Reed screens, you could say. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Hotting up? Hell. Anyway. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, I just tried to say appalling and invasion at the same time. It did not work. Did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. And you say you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens? Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's many-memoism in a nutshell. At last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. Not quite. I have to cross-examine. I'll find something. No. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why, then, was the story never published? That's right. Yeah, the photo was sent anonymously to the police. It seems clear to me there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood. Ha! More pathetic excuses. Yeah, why didn't he run a story instead of sending the photo anonymously to the police? Very well then, counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Unlike his suspenders when he shows off. Gonna press everything. Guess that's how this works, at least in the tutorial. Press. Hold it! What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Call it journo instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because, as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman. Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people! He's painting the journo as a voyeur. That's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Nope! You've got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender, man or woman, it's all news. That's not even many-memoism, it's basic journalism. If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Well, the court then witness, what sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated thy journo instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all clear as day. The English woman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing. Press! So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut? Yep, and she was raging like my journo spirit. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly? You stole it, I didn't steal it, that kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the English woman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she'd laid into her any more, there would have been eggs. Questionable turns of phrase aside. The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry. And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film.
Hold it!
I'm going to press. Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from start to finish. I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed. Right you are. It's all here in my many memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirms that. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut and arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. What you describe as a grim crime indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says. The beach hut plan has been entered into the court record. By the way, many memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Journos have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre. Reason for existence. So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all? Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside, looking in. And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor? I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you... I will grant the defense's request. Many memo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of many memoism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. I never once set foot in the hut nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was there only as an observer. Give me a second. Oh, I can't look at my people. I would like to point out that his name is Raiten Many Memo. I think it is possible that it is not Ray Membami's pen. We haven't seen him use a pencil. How is he so ink-stained? We haven't seen him. We've only seen him use pencils. Where'd the ink come from? I think it's his pen. I'm gonna press the other statements just to... My smoldering journo spirit burst into flames.
Hold it!
The court is fully aware of your desire to capture the incident on film, I'm sure. But why then did you choose to post the photograph anonymously to the police? I'm afraid I don't understand a word that's coming out of your mouth. I'm asking why, as a journalist, you decided not to make a story out of the incident. Think of me as a sculptor who makes art out of the sordid, private details of other people's lives. But I never discuss my own personal life on principle. I mean, that's basic many-memoism. And his armband has the same symbol as the pen. Exactly. I am going to present the pen on his never entered the hut statement. No doubt your burning desire to see the truth exposed and justice done was what motivated you. That's it. That's brilliant. My burning desire to see something or other exposed. Has to be a good reason why he didn't think to write an article about what he saw, though. By your own admission, you were outside the hut. How did you manage to take the photograph? Pulled apart the rough weave of the screens, poked the lens through.
Hold it!
The two women inside didn't notice? Ha! Obviously not. If they had, where would I be right now? In jail, that's where. Which you'd think would make you reflect on what you were doing. No, a journo's job is to collect little snippets of life as unobtrusively as possible. Leave nothing but footprints, take nothing but photos. Yes, that's spot on! Did he just make that up? Point is, the witness risked life and limb to obtain this photograph. I don't think it was life and limb. Okay, limb maybe. Because I do know if I had been in a changing room at a beach and a guy walked in and it was very obviously like, this is a man and he is there to spy on me, I would have whooped him. And this photograph reveals the whole truth. There is nothing more to be said. Ooh. It was oddly quiet there. I never once set foot in the hut nor spoke with the Englishwoman. Are you sure?
Objection!
Many memo-san. Until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Show You News on my arm. In a way, that's more many-memoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel? Many Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? It would appear he does. This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you? If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, remember me. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also R.M.? Write-in many memo? No! Write-in many memo. R.M. That's horse dung! Oh, do you not know your own initials? Oh, poor baby. Maybe you shouldn't be a journalist if you don't know the alphabet. Anyway. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of many memoism is being a pencil user. Why are you blue? And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see on your right hand, there is a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung! Many memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. Exactly. Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. Huh? And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In that case, Counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is... Shwoo, shwa. Shabam! As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Many Memo-san. Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Show You News! Okay, I just realized that Show You News is a pun. Don't judge me. I did not process that until now. Show You News. How did I miss that? In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Show You News whose initials are RM. Okay, and I just processed what Many Memo's name is. Write-in Many Memo. Write-in Many Memo. He writes a lot. Suddenly, the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Many Memo-san, how do you respond? No. Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness! So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. I, a Show You News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. An interview? You never mentioned this before. When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that little evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. Couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes. That was all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. As we many memoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what occurred. What transpired. Sorry. Yes, alright, but on one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. So you need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san. Yeah, but why? Yeah, but why? Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. And brace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one. It's big. Why? Why does this matter? Many Memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. How is this relevant? That's my question. Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. Soseki-san? Hiding something? The witness's secrets. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview and she declined, so I left the hunt without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. Why is Soseki here? He's not even... That's when this writer here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many Memoism demands I reveal it now. You mean to say the victim? The victim regained consciousness? Ah, well, and when she did, you decided to ask her a question? That's, true, yes. He did! And that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack? Is that your favorite word, Ouchie? Is that your favorite word? It wasn't even a conversation! Yes, I did pose the withering English rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious, even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. The court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. Reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut? Someone got stabbed. And possibly poisoned. That's what happened. Yes, I am going to press every statement.
Hold it!
You asked her for an interview, you say? Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year. About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life. That's not the way I phrased it. Many-memoism calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson, is how I put it to her. And that's probably why she denied you an interview. Yes, that sort of talking is straight as a ruler. Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that. And how did Miss Brett answer? With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Why is my brain doing this to me? I was expecting the simple phrase to be, a secret makes a woman woman. Anyway. That told me, so I waltzed right out of there. Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together. Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that. Yeah?
Hold it!
Why were you... It was very persistent of you, considering Miss Brett had just turned you away. Persistence wins the prize. Many memoist will tell you that. Let them think you've left, then just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence. Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness. And now that you've found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide. Uh-huh. And you've got a bridge you'd like to sell me. I'm sure. Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it. Detective realized victim still had a pulse, so he ran off.
Hold it!
And Saseki-san remained behind in the hut? That's right, yep. Our author friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me whilst traveling abroad. Back behind baleful bars, they'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I was gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. Oh, poor Suseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply. As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity! The end is coming for me, surely! No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please. And now we've come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. What question? What question? What exactly did he say? Well, now you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man? Ah! Out with it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, do you see? Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray. I ran up the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin. But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? I won't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't! She said nothing in response. But... When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand you amend your testimony. I will! I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied. Yeah, I'll press this. I'll find out what he thinks. Whoop.
Hold it!
So you tried to find out who the culprit was. He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever. However, you've indicated the victim failed to respond, is that correct? I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stoop and mustache, because I'm Japanese. Oh dear. Soseki-san has really developed a dislike for the English, it seems. To be fair, Giselle was not a super huge fan of the Japanese either, so, you know. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. The Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all, did she, Mr. Writer-Man? Well, yes, all right. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? Saseki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. No. Saseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger toward the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur, and thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. Somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all. You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. How about you take your objections, shove them up your... Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly, but there can be no doubt this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It's now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. I'm inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No. Ray did not do it! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyer's hopes dashed. 92 points across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. It says a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learnt thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Rave gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back at a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. Apparently shoddily weaved reed walls, so maybe that's part of it. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add? So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. Can't say I'm surprised. In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. No, I have more. I promise. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? I know!
Objection!
There's more to say! Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, Counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternative theory? Ha! None exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime. What? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. By mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction. Fantasy. It's a fantastic fantasy in that case. Let's go! Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment of the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Just outside the hut. So, you know, right about there. Wabam! Naruhodo-san would never give up. And I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here. Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut? What? Order, order, order! But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire, that makes no sense at all. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. He's calling me the same thing. That's amazing. You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that. But you see, good sir, you were a suspicious individual loitering about. So there, Neener. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there is no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie, there is a way. And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you yokel! Okay, I didn't read that part, so. You'll need to give us more guidance, Counsel. Whoa, the courts are stupid. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory the victim was stabbed from outside the hut? Is it that one? Yeah, it's that one. It's this! Ta-da!
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene? Yeah. Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. Not sure everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where, on this photographic print, is the trace of the stabbing that you claim to have took place from outside the hut?
Take that!
Look closely, just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. No, I can't. I can't see any such thing. Nuh-uh. It's true the hut in question had 4 walls, as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary. Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. Ah. And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Raiten Menimo-san. It could only have been you. Now.
Objection!
Oh, yeah. This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? I forgot Ouchie was the king of nuh-uh. Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower? Are we to assume that Miss Brett couldn't have moved?
Objection!
No, of course not. We're not? If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death, inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool? Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the reed screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word. So, in fact, the victim was killed whilst sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back, delivered through the reed screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut, before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. Ooh. by your silence, Memo-san. I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is absurd! That will do. It would appear we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud. No, this can't be! The Ouchie clan can't! What of my growth? My growth of hope? It wasn't at all. It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't! I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceed... Oh. Hey, thanks for the follow. Welcome to this guy losing his mind. Anyway. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals? Well, you didn't say anything, so we were assuming you weren't going to say anything. I'm sorry. But we've established the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed, it doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, the trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. Well, you're a cocky bastard, aren't you? What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. Huh. Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. Ah, yes. The poison. The poison designed especially to kill Cusco. That poison. Cusco's poison. Okay. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that the deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? Which is something you should not have known? And it's been shown this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett, is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Uh-huh. Where are you going with this? Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes? If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. Ah, how refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Okay, yeah, he is like a... Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed whom in in whose back and with whose blade? Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Objection!
That can't be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Ha 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 ha! Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Well... Bang. Order? Order! Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady had most likely imbibed it. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. It's a little hard to believe given the person that established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. Would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. It's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make a claim. I'm a journo and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's many-memoism. For a brief moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. So where is this trial going to take us? That's a marvelous question. Hopefully to arresting Manny Memo. Hopefully. Alright, let's press everything. Complete innocence. Yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. 'Cause why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. So, you admit it then? That everything happened as I described? That you were the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the reed screen? Can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you feel absolutely terrible about it. But I suppose if it gets you off the hook, it was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journo here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical. Now, you see... Therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last. Uh-huh, yeah, I'm sure. This is unbelievable. And after I'd made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he gonna get away with it now? No, because we are going to go further. Let's cross-examine this witness. Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very important. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in the trial. Yes, Your Excellency. Let's go. Let's press everything.
Hold it!
Because that's... So you do admit you had murderous intentions towards Miss Brett, then? Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation? She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who'd committed murder right here on our empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice, put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So in summary, murderous intentions then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was a blight, so I had to do what was right. For society. Yet a real wrong was done by a student girl in the dock. A crime for which she must pay. Obviously, because the poison was nothing to do with me at all. I'm pressing everything, even though I probably only need one of these statements pressed.
Hold it!
So you still maintain you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously. That'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you were always wearing braces like these. The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, yokel. Who knows? You may even learn something here today. Two consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that eagle and you got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds. It will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness.
Hold it!
Got your goat, huh? What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. Unfucking likely. The student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson, a professor of medicine invited here from England by Professor Mikatoba, no less. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland. A free woman was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. I really felt for her. Gasp. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray, young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all of this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen. Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We're in the middle of a cross-examination.
Hold it!
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. Journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great, peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks. I will grant the request of the defense. But, Your Excellency! This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. I'm sorry, I inhaled something and it's just... As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Oh. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison.
Hold it!
Sorry to do this to you, Ray. The stolen poison that killed the victims, you mean? Victim? Oh my gosh, I'm adding more victims. I'm killing other people! I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikatoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. And since Saseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact it was an extremely potent substance. Eck. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Many memo-san. One small question, if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly, you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably, then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard? Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. Details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this! The entire article! It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word! Well, Many Memo-san? As a journo, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Many Memoism. Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. The details of the poison article have been updated. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up, my stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. The point is, if you'd poisoned someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. Let's see here. No reason whatsoever, huh? No reason to stab someone after poisoning them. No
Objection!
reason. Well, I can think of one reason. What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. To glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut. Of course he did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin. There's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Shove your objections up your... Where are you going with this, counsel? Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Ooh. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Memo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article. Namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could have come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison. Which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membami-san being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude whoever administered the unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, right and many memo. Boom! I've done it, I've connected the dots, I've solved the mystery. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. Take that. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learnt of these facts. But you'd already given the victim of the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Objection!
But what good could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he'd hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hasn't he? Exactly. Because without revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would have ever suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effect of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use. Sip of the beverage. And she attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back. Let's be dramatic. Order, order, order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward? Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely. Uh-huh. What you got for me? What do you got to counter me?
Objection!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way he nurtures the remnants of his topknot, he is clinging to lost hope. Lost hope? You pathetic, useless, fallen samurai! Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is... I don't need a counter-argument. What are you talking about? Should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? Without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Show You News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. Surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open? See, I write in many memo, a mere reporter from the Show You News. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. There can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill... And if that's the case... As you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? Oh. Is Ryotaro too attractive for you? My point is this. There's one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What this court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? Pen? Because fountain pens are known for, like... Fountain pens are the step between dip pens and ballpoint. Meaning they have a reservoir. So... there's it. Well, I think you'll agree that it's clearly demonstrated by this piece of evidence here. By that, you intend to prove the witness stole the poison? How, exactly, counsel? Ah, you couldn't know it until you'd attempted yourself, Your Excellency. Being the case, you will attempt it... Oh. Oh my gosh, I didn't look at the fountain pen to find out it was fucking empty! Because I have to know it's empty. Little reservoir that holds the ink. You fill it from drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. Something wrong, Father? It's that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. You're right, it's pretty much empty. I had to update it first. I'm sorry. Oh, that didn't go down as well as I hope. The file in which the poison is kept is still in the laboratory, which means the thief must have transferred a quantity of it to another container. Give it all away. Don't mind my minor fuck-up. Repeat. Empty ink reservoir. Go! Proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Bah! I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy bush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck up a swoopcon of sumptuous ink and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this talking of sucking up ink have to... Ah. Yeah. And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to write. Can this really be... Well, Many Memo-san? When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, You used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir.
Objection!
More absurdity! That never happened. I can prove it did. True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen, of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. This is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Many Memo-san. We got him sweating. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone, with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen. It's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. Looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. Rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends on whether or not the defense can prove he did with evidence. No such evidence could possibly exist.
Objection!
Many Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we're well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then. I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. Defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to seal the poison. Whabam!
Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. A reagent? What? One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation, but bowing its head to every foreign power. Took out my arms and many. Susato, with me. I'm there. Yeah. Beautiful. Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryotaro takedown. Hell yeah. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib on the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journo like me to pass up. Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead? I went into that hut intending to quiz her on her situation, that's all. As a reporter. A known killer, enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face! Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press. That's really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. So in other words, she pissed him off. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit, getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yeah? You often talk about justice. But surely, as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. Finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt, it was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose... Second. It appears we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. And we will find out that conclusion in a hot minute. I will be right back. Okay. We have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Let's go. Let's conclude the trial. Counsel for the defense, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Still feels weird. But anyway, I have followed in my quote-unquote cousins' footsteps by winning a trial. Oh, yes, sorry, Your Excellency, just musing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Ryunosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land. It's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Ouchi, do you have any final thoughts? Prosecutor Ouchi? I, Taketsuchi of the Ouchi clan, have been bested by a callow youth, not once, now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence? Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path to Ouchiism. Ouchiism? One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Sprig of my topknot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi. He had to write a haiku about it. Ah! Farewell. I love how respectful Susato is being, just like, oh. Everyone's being so... A moment of silence. For your hair. Now, in regard to the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Yes, Your Excellency? I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you... not guilty. Yay, Sakura petals. Woohoo! It's not quite the fireworks I'd get in London, but you know. Court is adjourned. Oh, we're gonna have more dialogue! Yay! It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility. Such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Oh, he just blink. Susato! Susato! Thank you. Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm gonna cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I have to say the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over. So no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the what? I'm the great defense lawyer Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. It was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anyone else we could throw together? I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh, my goodness. No, of course not. Of course not. Ah, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame. What? What is happening? Ah, Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Susato Mikotoba. I, I don't. So dashing, so divine. No! Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Hmm. Whatever you say, okay. Astonishingly astounding ace attorney! Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned! That's a truly impressive disguise. Of course, that would be what you concern yourself with. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau. Who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less? I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. Well, I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. You got a little... 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now that the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? Now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah, my arch-nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. No, that tracks. That's fair. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? Ooh, we've startled the man. It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said you'd collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? It's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't. Ah! Let me go! Many memos, son? So one throw wasn't enough for you? I've got one last thing to say before they take me away, Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Giselle Brett, you mean? No, not her. The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago. What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know the guy never made it to England. That he died on that steamship. That he'd never... Oh, he's been yoked by the judge. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. Congratulations. You have Yota, man. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugen. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency. Ha ha ha! The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. May I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato. Did he know the whole time? Did you know all along? From the start of the trial? A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here hadn't known, and then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go, Father. Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I've sent a man flying like that. Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotoba-san Esquire S. Could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear! Please, Saseki-san, tell me at once. I will! I will! I will! I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those 2 terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course, I could never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any of the members of the public is aware of is the first. Yes, it is. Because I seem to be a member of the public. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seemed that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case, the case of the haunted lodgings. That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Okay, maybe the shipping them isn't quite as weird as I have thought. Because I ship them. And no one can judge me about it. Susato's success. Yes, I would love to save my progress. And we'll get a start on the memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro before I wrap up. We'll at least see what the vibe is about.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern exchange student from his harrowing plight, then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Ooh! The dramatic guy. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I had made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. Heh. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. Must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Ah, Bruno, good! I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Ooh, fabulous. Good morning, Iris. Smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a respise. Respise? Not another word! Thank you for cutting me off from sounding stupider. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation-repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, I see. So that's it. Personal space? The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have, this very morning, met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you. Hurley pulled your button off? That sounds like a euphemism for something. Anyway. Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder, then, that in my vexation I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. But Hurley, Bruno said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire. The famous consulting detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, as published in Rantst magazine. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of your misery? Out of our misery, not yours. What surprised you this fine morning? Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it, really? That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun! We'll tell you about it over breakfast. On Wednesday. Because I am wrapping up there. I apologize, we will for sure definitely see more of this on Wednesday. Even though I'd probably... if I wasn't on like almost a cliffhanger, I'd probably be doing some more Mystery Dungeon. But since I am intrigued, as to what this case could be. I will be following the memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro a bit more on Wednesday. See everyone then.